Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. Here we are, yet again, another podcast episode to get out to the community, and we've got RedLineDrifter, the person that everybody wants to speak to right now, is leading this incremental USTC repeg situation, and myself being one of those people on the other side of the river, so to speak, on this, and having my doubts with a USTC repeg. So I think it's going to be really interesting. RedLineDrifter, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the channel. You know, talk to us. How's everything going for you over on your side of things?
Thanks for having me. So far, so good. The voting's kind of 50-50 at the minute, but a lot of the validators haven't weighed in yet, especially some of the bigger ones. So we kind of have to wait and see, really. It's a bit nerve-wracking as you're watching it play out, but I still think we could pull it off.
I'm honestly thinking it's going to be such a close one because you've got, as much as we try to ignore it and we act like it's not there, there is this line of division where there's a group of people that don't want it to happen. There's a group of people that do want it to happen. You've got the old guard, you've got the new guard. So it's definitely going to be a tight vote. It's currently a tight vote right now as we speak. It's looking around 50-50. You've even got around like a perfect, it looks to me perfectly balanced right now. So I really think it's gonna be tight. So talk to us about where you've come from, what's your history, and what led to this repeg situation. Because, I mean, there's no minting involved, right?
Yeah. So, like, I originally actually joined, it would have been Terra Rebels back in June, kind of around the crash, and I'd have been involved with the quant team there. Like, I don't have a financial background, but I'd be quite good mathematically, and I'd be a good critical thinker. And I think Zardar and Fafi saw that, so I was kind of working with them for a few months. And I had started, I had always thought an incremental repeg was the way to do it, because we have to get money from somewhere and we can't just start at once. So I was kind of thinking we should always start around market price and build up collateral and work our way back safely and securely. And that's kind of what I've always been building upon. And originally it was, I had just attacked, so I hadn't worked in some of the extra bits to it, but I think I've kind of got a fairly rounded solution now that kind of is equitable to everybody, you know, and isn't just a tax. There is utility involved in this as well.
Yeah, I mean, this, you're talking about funding the community pool, the Oracle rewards pool, LUNC holders also, this is a win for them. And then you're doing a step-by-step repeg. This isn't us throwing the stone for a long shot. This is collectively well thought out, well planned, moving ahead in stages, not trying to run before we can walk.
Exactly, and like I did actually do a case study on a trading pair just to prove that it was feasible. Do you know what I mean? And like the numbers are very good. This is only against one USTC trading pair. Now, like I'd imagine that if we were to put this divergence tax in place, we would see a significant reduction in trading volume below peg. But I mean, I took into account for that, and I said even with a 90% reduction in trading volume, like over the last 6 months, we'd have pulled in $9 million or just over it with this tax in place.
And that's just with one single trading pair, right?
That's one trading pair, yeah. Do you know what I mean?
So you must be looking ahead to Alliance when the Alliance system opens up. I mean, creating a USTC trading pair in the Alliance sector, how many more millions or billions is that going to bring?
Exactly. And then the other thing about this is that we're because of the way I've designed this, it's not a buyer-seller tax. The tax is only always on the seller side, but we'd always accumulate. So the opposite of what USTC was. So the more desirable asset at the time, because if USTC is being depegged, you need a stronger asset there. So we'd be taking it into stable trading pairs like USDT, BUSD. And if we're selective down the line, then we could open up into like BTC or Paxos, you know, and back ourselves with gold or BTC down the line as well.
Yeah, and we've spoken many times about gold, but this is a situation, right, where we've got USDCs coming into the Cosmos sector. I think it's already emerged in the sector. Is that not something that could be of use to you?
Sorry, I just missed the last. What did you say there?
USDC. It's making an appearance, isn't it, into the Cosmos?
Yeah, with Axelar, isn't it?
Yes.
I think they're actually coming over to us as well. I know Rex has been working on that, and he's actually been talking to them for quite some time.
So these are like little safety barriers, aren't they? It's kind of like going bowling, right? And then whipping the barriers up. And you've kind of going to have these safe ports of reliance where you've got something strong to back it by, right? Because this has always been the talk about gold. This stems back to Twitter Spaces with, people like Luna V-Shape when we're talking about Pax Gold and backing USTC then. So you've come a long way, haven't you?
Yeah, like, I mean, if you're backing something with a volatile asset, it gets quite hard to manage the collateral levels. Whereas if you're backing it with the dollar, then you're backing it with what it's supposed to be. So it's a lot easier to manage. Do you know what I mean? The volatility is taken out of your collateral, basically.
Well, previously, USTC was simply, Luna was there to maintain the peg to either bring it down or bring it back up. So you guys really have had to redesign a system without an asset to play with. You've just got USTC right now.
Exactly, yeah. And the other thing I was trying to look at is to try find a way to bring back the arbitrage that was there before. So that's why with this tax as well, we'd be opening up that LUNC swap pool, which would be a limited swap pool. So, like, for LUNC holders, that means that when the price of USTC goes above peg, like, you'll be able to swap your LUNC into USTC, get paid to do it. So you're cutting down the supply, but being paid to do it this time. And you can sell your USTC, go back and buy more LUNC, and you profit there from that. And there was something like that there before. There used to be arbitrage occurring.
It was a mint to burn scenario. So, let's get ahead of ourselves here a second, Redline. Let's get ahead of ourselves. Let's say in a perfect ideal world, the repeg happens, you do it step by step, we eventually get to $1. Well, then now we've got a viable means to create that arbitrage that you've just been speaking about to burn all the LUNC supply off in a manner that makes it profitable.
Exactly. Well, like, if, say, for instance, once we get to $1, now say down the line and all of this was successful, then you could look at allowing LUNC to mint into USDC. Do you know, like, if USDC is at $1 and there's sufficient demand there for it and it's pushing above $1, then it would make sense to mint USDC by swapping LUNC into it down the line, and that would be what we had before, and that would really cut down the supply.
There you go. It's insane, right? Because I've always been sat on not so much on the fence, but on the other side of the fence, but very close to being sat on the fence with this one, because everything that's transpired over the course of this year with USTC, the legal situation, over the past couple of weeks, there's been some they're saying now in South Korea, it's simply not a security. And
and then I think because if we follow this path that I'm saying, like, up until the point that we get to $1, like, we're not actually minting any new tokens or issuing any new tokens. So I don't see why we'd be targeted from a legal standpoint. No, obviously we'd have to take legal advice, but we're not issuing any new tokens with this,
which is a good thing. So in the long shot, getting ahead of ourselves again, this could actually pay off for our blockchain. We could become something that restored the biggest restoration to ever realistically happen in crypto, bringing back this algorithmic coin, which was something incredible. CZ himself has stated, DK trod on something there, and it's powerful, and the need for this algorithmic stable asset, it's there.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing that we have as well that I think a lot of people are missing out on is if you look at every other blockchain, they all only have these US dollar derivatives. I think there might be maybe one EUTC and maybe one EU stablecoin and one sterling stablecoin. But the fact that we have 23 other stables, like, we're going to be one of the only blockchains that's actually legally able to run like a digital forex on chain. With the US moratorium coming in, no one else can do that. We will literally be the only avenue for anyone to get the likes of a JPTC, because it would be illegal for other blockchains to create that. I think a lot of people are missing that.
So,
people see SEC rulings and they think, they're going against us, but I actually think they're actually playing out bullish for us at the moment.
Well, this is what I've been thinking recently. So if I said to you, right, put yourself in someone who suffered from the crash, lost millions during that crash, right? You're now part of a forced coin that you were airdropped. You're part of Luna, right? Put yourself seriously there. Do you want to see USTC be restored and see all of these people that have held tokens now become rich, and you've had to sell all of your tokens off because you just thought it was a lost cause. You know, how would you be feeling?
Yeah, you're kind of breaking up a bit there, but you're saying, what were you saying? If you were somebody that took the Luna airdrop and then sold after USTC because it was a lost cause, is it? Or
yeah, so it was a lost cause. Now you're bringing this really good idea back that's going to possibly repeg the dollar, make a lot of people rich that are holding those tokens now. You know, they're not going to want to see that. Luna are not going to want to see our little blockchain that they see us as restore a destroyed asset that destroyed their livelihoods, their worlds. I honestly think it's like a threat, and we would become very, very powerful in the cosmos for that. We would become a centerpiece once again of this ever-growing cosmos.
Well, I think like if we manage, like it's going to take time to do this, obviously, like, you know, but the fact that we're doing it incrementally and we're doing it in a safe manner, like I think people could really buy into this, you know, buy into the comeback of LUNC, and the fact that it is, like, before it wasn't community owned as much as I like to say it, like it was TFL controlled, but now the way the assets are split, it really is a community owned project and a community driven project. So I think it would actually be something amazing for the crypto space for us to do this, and not only that, but like if you look at what this is doing as well, like, so a lot of crypto stuff, they don't regulate their money that well. It's all about the incentive. Whereas we'd be actually putting a control on our money, and this like would prevent a debt spiral. And I think it's one of the few mechanisms I've seen in crypto that could 100% stop a debt spiral. You know, it limits the MCAP loss, like it stops it at 50%, and that's it.
This is the divergence protocol, right? That you're speaking about specifically here.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Like because of the way it's designed, and because it goes from 0 to 100, like the most you can ever depeg from the price would be a 50% drop. At that, you'd be handing your money to the protocol, basically, or handing your tokens in, as it'd be 100% tax. So we should never see that level.
No,
you know what I mean, nobody's going to give their money away.
Exactly. I think, and this is me, just my personal opinion, I think the hardest part about what you're doing here is getting CEXs on board. But we have a vital edge over every other crypto in the blockchain. Binance is whitelisted on our blockchain. They burn LUNC. They see something in this blockchain. They wouldn't simply just get involved out of all of these other things. You know, that could be an open door for you to get through to these other CEXs and say, hey, look, we've got the solution. We just need you to implement it.
Yeah, but the other thing then is not only are we giving them the solution, like we're paying them to do this because we're going to split the profit share with them. So if you look at what they take in regular trading volume or regular trading fees, like we'd offer them multiples of that. So at the end of the day, they're here to make money. So I can't see why they wouldn't work with us on that. It's not like at the burn tax, we were essentially asking them to burn their own money because the transaction piece is their money. That's what they normally take themselves. Whereas this is extra, and we'd actually be giving them something back to implement this.
Well, you're asking us all. You're asking us all just to meet in the middle. You've not missed a sector out here. Community pool, Oracle rewards.
I tried to make it equitable for everybody because I was trying, as I was going through this, I was trying, like, I'd say, like, well, why would the CEXs want to do this? So I tried to say, right, well, is there enough incentive there for that? And there is. I've shown that. They're the biggest hurdle in this, I think, because like part of the problem with Terra, like we actually have a 0 to 100% tax on chain already as the Tobin tax, and that was actually limited during the crash. So I think about 30% or 36%. But the reason that wasn't effective is because it wasn't overall our money. Do you know what I mean? The second money moved off chain, then those controls were no longer effective. So if you want to have capital controls, they need to be over where everything is traded. Otherwise, they're kind of useless, really. Do you know what I mean? So, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, no, you're still there. I was just wondering if you're going to keep going. It's so hard sometimes to gauge when someone's
I'm not
there
sure
or not there.
Because I'm breaking in and out of this, yeah.
So, you know, looking at what this is, because it's, for a lot of people, this has always been an overwhelming situation. A lot of people still think that it's Duncan that's walking this road, but it's not. You're from, like you were saying at the beginning, you're from Terra Rebels Quant Team originally, right?
Yeah, like the incremental repeg, like if you go back onto the Discord servers, you'll see like I was talking about that since last June. This now it's changed a bit since then, but I've had always had in my head that the incremental repeg was the way to go. But yeah, like Duncan's a smart guy, and I've often bounced stuff off of Duncan, and he bounced stuff off of me. But this will be a separate proposal to the Ziggy proposal. It's different. I was originally meant to be working with Duncan on Ziggy. There was meant to be another one USTC team being created, but I think when he put forward his second Ziggy proposal, it was too far removed from what he had originally proposed to the community. I don't know if you've seen that, did you?
No, definitely. I would agree there. It was pretty far from what it was all supposed to be. And, like I was just saying, this can be so overwhelming for a lot of people. And, there's not a lot here. You've just explained it very, very well in a very good manner, but there's not a lot to this when you simplify it down and really crush it down for what it is. It's actually a good repeg. There's good positives to this. No minting, no forking. All of these things that the community have always wanted, it seems like you've provided this. And I've been a huge hater of USTC. You must know that.
So, sorry, what you said? You're kind of breaking out there. I don't know if it's my coverage here or what, but you're kind of just coming in and out. If you just repeat the last bit again.
I was just saying that I've always been more or less a hater on the USTC repeg, but this seems like it's really something that brings every single point of the community to a middle ground. No one can sit here and say this isn't fair.
Yeah, exactly, and I know like there's a good proportion of the community as well, and like they're all about the burn tax, and that's fine. But I mean, if you look at just even simply from a monetary point of view, you'd be able to burn a hell of a lot more through these swaps than you ever would burning, than the burn tax ever would. Do you know what I mean? If you look at the monetary value here, it's more than what Binance would have burned off of this trading pair.
The amount of liquidity this could bring into the cosmos right now, and we're at, I don't know if you know this, we're actually at an all-time low in DeFi for liquidity locked.
Okay, I didn't actually realise that, no.
Well, yeah, so we're in this huge dip, right? So this is like the perfect time for us to create a slingshot, so to speak. You've got parity coming, you've got alliance coming, you've got 4 assets currently working in alliance. That's White Whale, B Luna, A Luna, and then there's one more. And there's going to be more and more and more. This all feels like it could just all happen at the perfect time. And yes, this is step by step, but that's what makes it more interesting because there's volatility here, right?
Yeah, well, the volatility will be more on the upside. It'll be kind of limited on the downside due to the tax. Do you know what I mean? But and then the other thing we're doing as well is, if you see the USDC staking or the savings module we're thinking of doing, by doing that, we're going to pull a lot of, so basically by design what you do is, so say the price was below peg. If you were to buy and you were to instantly sell, you'd sell at a loss. So what you do is you buy and you'd stake your your USDC. And so while the price is below peg, that rewards pool is getting filled and filled. So your yield is increasing while the price is below peg. And then when the price comes back up above to a peg level or above, then you sell. So you'd have your profit from that margin. And you'd also have the yield from the savings as well, which is something that USDC doesn't have. It doesn't actually have any utility at the moment. And this will at least give you something back.
So you're talking about creating more or less the same situation we have for being able to stake LUNC, but the same for USTC, right?
It'll be similar. It wouldn't be governance, say. It'd be more of a savings module. So you're basically getting paid to lock your USDC out of circulation. So what we do is we maybe have like a day. So you could, if you locked it up for 1 day, 1 week, or 1 year, or whatever, you'd receive different rates. Do you know what I mean? Or a different percentage rate. So we're trying to incentivize people to lock up as much USDC as possible, and take out of circulating supply, and that will help push the peg price higher
Well,
and make it easier for to combat to maintain the peg as well.
Well, one of these proposals, they're normally followed up right at the end with, and we're going to need $10 billion from you to do this. You're not asking for anything, are you?
No. Bear in mind, there's going to have to be L1 work on this. Like, you're going to need the L1 team to do work on this. The exchanges are getting paid anyway, so they're getting paid to carry out the work on their end, as far as I'm concerned. And I do think, because I don't have a financial background, I do think that you should have someone with quant experience in there as well. And like, I can only contribute part-time to this. So I wouldn't want much, like, if it's going to be that I needed for consultation quite a bit about this, sure, I'd like to get compensated some bit for my work, but I'm not asking millions of euros. The whole point of this is that this protocol would collateralize the system itself. You know, we build it and then we forget about it. Everything is automatic, so the buybacks, you know, everything should be automatic and governance controlled.
So once it's built, it's built.
And forget about it then, yeah, until we get the dollar and we can come back and look at it again then. That's the way I'd be looking at it.
I just don't understand why people can't just build like this. Because I built my Penguins NFT project like this. Even if I was to die and get obliterated by a meteorite, it would continue to run. It would continue to it self compounds and increases people's staking rewards daily. You know, building things like this is a no-brainer. We live in the 21st century. We're moving forward with all of this technology. We don't need to build things that people need to then man. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. But even if you look at how our pegs are maintained before, I mean, we had LFG and Jump Crypto who were doing manual buybacks for us. You know, they weren't even automatic buybacks. Jesus. So this will be replacing. So, like, not only because we've no collateral now as well, so not only is this giving us collateral, we'll be replacing those with an automatic buyback system. Do you know what I mean? So we wouldn't be waiting on if the price depegged for don't want to wake up in the morning and press buyback or whatever. The problem is automatically.
Jesus Christ. Oh, imagine. That's not good. That's really not good. But this is really positive. This is, you know, we need something like this right now. And there's been all of these really crap USTC repeg ideas. Now there's this really good one. And it's like, wow, I'm actually a little bit overwhelmed as to this whole thing, but I'm also understanding it quite well right now. Yeah,
even from my own point of view, like I know I made a solution, but it's, for such a complicated problem, it's quite a simple solution, I think. Like, it's literally just taxing the difference from peg, keeping that and using it, rather than burning it off, we're actually using it to buy back. Do you know what I mean?
So I think, you know, you said about if this, you know, it passes, then you're going to need the L1 team to get involved. And I think a really good point for someone like you to note right now is we have governance that's based on consensus. If this passes, this becomes part of the L1 team's, you know, roadmap. They work for the consensus. What the consensus dictates is what they must then go follow out, work on and do. So I think you're going to get the support here. It deserves support.
Yeah, and I've actually, like, before I did speak to the L1 team and TGF as well, and like they're all interested in this, and I even spoke to some of the other L1 devs I spoke to them, so like everybody seems interested in this direction, and they all think it's something feasible. The biggest problem is going to be that there's no point in building any of this unless the CEXs come on board with us. But I think, like, that covered with the profit share, I think that should be enough to bring them with us.
So there's members in the community, you'll know this because you've been part of Terra Rebels previously, that did have lines of communication to Binance. And I think it's about time that, you know, we've got a project manager and his job is to manage. You know, we need a person like that who manages the humans, that prevents the friction between two developers, because you can have two really good developers that probably hate each other and dislike each other's work. You need someone in between that. You need someone to sort out all of the stuff. I believe, you know, this is something for our project manager to be finding these connections that people used to have and they used to harbor for their own greater good, and cough them up, hand them over to the community and allow us to flourish. Because like you're saying, this is really going to depend on CEXs. We have the edge with Binance. We can definitely find help there.
Yeah, like as far as I know, TGF have all so most of the exchanges actually already have a copy of this proposal. TGF and Rex reach out on my behalf to all of them already, so they all have a copy. So this wasn't going. We weren't just going to hit them with a surprise with this. No, none of them have given any indication yes or no yet. I'm assuming they're waiting to see how the vote goes down before they'll give us any feedback on it. But I did try to make sure that everyone got advance notification and everything beforehand, so people are aware this is coming down the tracks if it does pass. And I did make sure that the likes of the L1 team would be happy to work on this if it does pass as well. So everybody's on board if this does pass to move this thing forward.
So we've got protocol buybacks, we've got these different scenarios, we've got protocol profits, you've got the swap pool, you've got the savings vault, the staking vault, you've got the Oracle pool, the community pool. There's a lot going on here with liquidity. Security is going to be number one on this, right?
Yeah, like, so, well, the thing about this is all going to be built into the L1. So any of the funds that are held on this will only be controlled via governance. No individual will ever have access to these funds. It'll be built that way that it's only ever in the L1. So
for people wondering what that actually means, the Burn wallet itself, you can go back and search my videos for this. The Burn wallet it's produced by governance, meaning that it specifically serves the purpose of receiving coins. It's not been built or thrown up to send coins. It serves a specific purpose. So you would be using the governance to throw out a system in a same manner that can't be manipulated. You would need auditing on something like this before you put it into play, right?
I'd assume so. So that's actually something we're missing in the blockchain, is we're not actually auditing our own blockchain. I think it was Fafi actually mentioned that, like, while we're looking at like Terraport and stuff like that, they need auditing. We're not actually auditing any DL1 stuff. Like, I know the validators and all would look at the code, but I think that's something we should maybe look at as well, is that when there's big updates, that we look at getting external auditors to look at them as well. I do think that should be done. This thing is going to be well tested on a testnet before it's ever rolled out. So yeah, no, this thing is going to be tested to death before we ever push forward with it.
Some good points there. Some really good points there, especially with us the need to audit our own chain. I didn't know we weren't auditing what we're putting in, but that does make sense. I guess, you know, we've been in this scenario, haven't we, where we keep chopping and changing people, we're scaring people off, the teams keep changing so much that we never actually, you know, we're running on the spot. I think there's a change in the headwind right now. I honestly feel like the community's wising up. This one's going to be tight, but I think, you know, you might take this. And
well, if I did manage to get this, and I did manage to get us yes off the CXs, I think it would give us a solid direction going forward. Like, over the last year, like, while we were all looking forward to the bonds, we thought that the 1.2 tax was going to do it. When that didn't materialise, nobody had ever really had anything in the wings to replace that. So I think we've just seen negative price action ever since. So, like, all we've managed to achieve over last year is maintain our blockchain and build it to parity. We haven't added any new features. We've not built any utility. Don't know anything like that, which would explain the price point. So I think if we, you know, solidify behind the direction and work towards a goal, you know, we should see positive price impacts because of that. And if we work together rather than fighting with each other, like most other blockchains, they're not internally fighting, they're competing with other blockchains. Do you know what I mean? We're internally competing. It's nuts. Like,
it is. It's insane. It's absolutely it's Einstein's definition of insanity. We keep repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. It's just not going to happen. We're just going to consistently keep running on the spot. But I think that's what a certain group of people want. And I think that's become quite obvious now.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, for me, I think there's enough space. There's definitely going to be enough work on this for like, we're going to have to hire more devs. There's enough work for the two Warren L1 teams to actually work together and sit down together. And I probably pushed that the two of them would work together if I got my way. You know, the whole point to be about the incentivization isn't it should be one team or the other. We should have two teams augmenting each other, working together. That's how I feel.
Well, I manage 94 human beings for my current day-to-day job. Now, I have human beings that don't like each other. Let's say, for instance, we've got a guy called Roman and a guy called Peter. They're the complete opposites of each other. And they're both pretty much my lead supervisors, and they hate each other, but they both produce really good work. But if you put them in the same room as each other, you're going to have an argument. So I keep them basically on opposite ends of the sites, and I keep them working away from each other because I don't want to lose either one of them. And this is this thing with a project manager. You're always going to need someone to act as a buffer. And I believe LBA, which is a LUNC Burn Army, I think he's going to be that buffer. And
Yeah,
you
and
saying having these two teams together, you could have two teams working together, but we just need to ensure we've got that good management system in place.
yeah, I mean, like something like that going forward, like we just need to start working together and not against each other. Like, whether we do this or not, whether we got my proposal or not, we need to start working together. It just doesn't make sense. And like for me, the more people see or investors see this internal drama or fighting, the further down the price is going to go, and the less money there is going to be to divide among these devs. Or if they see people consolidating and working together, the price is going to go up, and then that the value of those tokens that are sitting in that CP pool will be worth a hell of a lot more, and you can afford to pay everybody. Do you know what I mean? It's people are missing that. If they actually try to work together, they'd see positive price action, and there actually would be enough money in the pools to pay everybody. The fact that they're fighting with each other over what's there, that's a big part of the issue, I think.
You can imagine how many people in the community right now that do play the games that they play, how many short positions they're holding. It's become too predictable that they can just FUD and the price is going to go down. Why would you not do it? Raise emotion as a trader. Why would you not do that? You're making a killing the whole way down, just doing small, short trades.
Yeah, well, that's actually something that my proposal is going to fix, because it's going to be awfully hard to short into a protocol where you're taxed the further you diverge from the peg. So this is going to limit shorts quite a lot. You definitely won't be able to short USTC to Andy, and if you did, you'd have to short way above peg and close off position above peg as well. Do you know what I mean? Because if you short into the tax, then you're at a loss immediately.
This is why I love these podcast episodes, because as much as I can read something, gauging how someone's mindset is and the way that you could have built this as like a kind of like personal privatized little DEX thing where it's all done off chain, but it's on chain. You're basically scraping off of the top, but you've just not done that. You've done the beautiful, honest thing, what Hero's doing. You've built for the blockchain. You've built for the integration of Station.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn, Grandma.
Yeah, no, hopefully we get this passed. Like, the whole point of this is that this is all going to be under community control. There's never going to be any individual controlling it. So the risks are diminished by an awful lot. You know what I mean? And we have a truly algorithmic stablecoin then. Having a stablecoin there's somebody physically has to do manual buybacks isn't really algorithmic if you think about it. You know what I mean? This is actually making it algorithmic and properly stable. But it will take time. Like initially when we start this, because we're starting with no collateral whatsoever, like we're going to see multiple DPEGs. But the thing is, the more DPEGs that happen, the more collateral we'll build in the system and the stronger we'll get.
Well, that's the whole point of doing this for a soft peg, right? Is to actually depeg it, keep depegging it until you reach a point which becomes stable to build the foundation on. That's the idea, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like the thing is, the more it depegs, the more money you're taking into the protocol and the more you're collateralizing yourself. Do you know what I mean? It works the inverse to how you normally think. And you're taking the people that are effectively shorting or selling below peg, they're paying that for us.
So let's take a glance at these negatives. So we've got relies heavily on CEXs agreeing to this. We've definitely gone over that and covered that. I see that as definitely going to be a task. This whole thing's going to be a task, like you're saying. If anybody thinks this is going to be, proposal passes and it all just shoots up to $1, this is going to be a fight. This is going to be a fight, but it's going to be a well-conducted fight that does it in stages, does it carefully, doesn't put us all at risk. And if it all fails, no harm done.
Well, the thing is, if it fails, we'll have built some collateral in the system, which we don't have now. We'll finish in a better off position than we are now, no matter what. Even if the price depegs, you will have actually built some collateral back, if that makes sense. We'll have backed USTC to some point. It's absolutely backed by zero at the moment. So it's not that it's risk free. Like you could see significant reduction in trading volume, but I think the rewards for this outweigh the risks.
I just want to point something out for all of the people listening. If you want something risk-free in crypto, CBDCs are coming out very soon. Probably going to want to invest in them instead.
Yeah, that's going to be another big reason that I think this will be so successful. Is like when CBDCs come along, like they're talking about programmable money. So like if, say for instance you were a big fella and you liked your chocolate bars and you had 3 chocolate bars today and you went for your 4th, you might not be able to buy that with your money. They can actually limit your money like that. And that's why I think actually decentralized money is going to play a big part in the world going forward, especially if the CBDCs come into play, because I don't think any of us want them.
Well, it's like China at the moment, isn't it? It's a social credit score. It's as simple as that. You've been doing this on Twitter that week. No, sorry, mate, can't get the train to wherever you want to go. Oh, you want some food? No, sorry, mate, your social credit score's whack. We can't give you any food.
I just think that's nuts. Like, you know what I mean? I think we have to take control over our own money, at some point. Like, and I think we have the perfect platform to do that. We are trying to build back from a loss. Like, if we were starting afresh, it'd be an awful lot easier to do it like this. In hindsight, building something safer.
Well, you'd be fighting. The issue then becomes you'd be fighting for every single exchange listing. You need audits. It's going to cost you millions to get that to a launchable stage. Whereas we've got this more or less like ruined ship that's sinking either way. Regardless of what happens, regardless of what we do, that thing's dying. No one's bringing it back. So, we either attempt this, and because I said we keep getting to this USTC hurdle, right, Redline? And we walk into it and then we walk backwards. And then we walk into it and then we walk backwards. And we walk into it and we walk back. We've never got over the hurdle. This seems like this is the hurdle and we're going to jump it.
Yeah, like I think like if you look at a lot of the proposals, there was always something in it that one section of the community, like if you look at Alex's proposal, it was minting. If you look at Faffy's, it was because it was going near the Oracle. Whereas this, I've made it as relatively, risk-free as possible. It doesn't need any external capital from anybody, so we're not starting with money from the community pool or the Oracle pool, so nobody can give out there. Literally, the only people we're taking money off are the people that sell below peg, and I think most of us agree that they should be punished for doing that.
Definitely. I totally go. I think, and like I said, I've been highly against this USTC repegging situation, and it's always been with the minting, right? Because as we discussed, that's when it becomes a very, very precarious situation when we begin to mint.
Yeah, like I don't think we actually, because we have such oversupply of all our places.
It's not that many.
Well, I don't think we'll actually need to mint for quite long. Like for me, I'm not sure that we'll ever need to mint LUNC again. Like I think like if we get USDC back up to a peg over time and we sufficient collateral built there, that we then start to funnel the LUNC into all these Terra currencies, and that's how you really burn it off. Do you know what I mean? And that drives up the price of both LUNC. And that's the way to do it, is to bring back the old system. It's going to take time, and we're going to have to do it step by step. And it's not going to be easy along the way, because there are going to be plenty of depegs all the way to get there. But like you say, if we do nothing, where are we going? Like I think most of us bought into Terra because of all those stable coins and Terra tokens. I mean, if it wasn't for those, how does our blockchain differentiate itself? So if we're not going to try and recover that, why are we here really? Well, that's how I feel. I mean, they're the selling point of our blockchain. It's not LUNC, it's those Terra currencies, and the 23 of them we have. Like, they're our unique selling points, and that's what we should try to recover. Try and build towards payment services and forex. Like, it's going to take time, but we can certainly do it. Like for me, like, part of the future will be, say, like if you look at BNB, like they have a debit card at the moment, right? And they actually give you cash back on it. So like if we were to move into card payment services, right? But rather than us taking that fee that you normally get, the 1 to 3%, say, that the merchant server normally takes, like if we were to push that back to the community, so like imagine when we're collateralized that we could have a saying, say that why spend $100 US when you can spend 99 USTC? Do you know what I mean? Because you're getting cash back.
Exactly.
So
This was the point of the stable quants previously. So I've spoken about the removal of these stable quants, but what I've not mentioned is removing them in a sense that just getting them to a point where no one can manipulate them, no one can use them for anything, and we simply just get them to a point of where they're workable again. Because having them just constantly spewing out the way that they're spewing out is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, sorry, that was one of the first. Like, if you look at my proposal, one of the first things we're doing is disabling the terra-to-terra swaps, and fixing the
Exactly.
Oracle. And like, that's before I ever start anything else. That's done. Do you know what I mean? And we look at the Oracle feeder and getting that fixed. And what I'd suggest doing is that we'll start with USDC, and when we see that we're building enough collateral in that, you know, maybe it's not at $1, but we're starting to build, you know, that it's going successfully for us. We can maybe look then at bringing in other currencies one by one. Do you know what I mean? Because the more tokens you have there, the harder it is to manage. But if we bring them on one by one, it'll be easy enough for us to manage and build up collateral safely. That'll be how I'd be thinking of doing it. So we'll start off at USTC, then maybe bring in GBTC and UTC, and work like that. Bring them on one by one as we're building collateral. Do you know? And that's something that no other blockchain can offer. Do you know what I mean? And I think that you could build FOMO into this as we start announcing that, you know, we've UTC out there and we've sufficient collateral already built into it. Now, this is going to take time to do this. Like, this isn't an easy road by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't think any of us, like, if we wanted to just start again, we would have all just went over to Luna and left this. I don't think that was any of our intention. I think all of us want to bring back the system we have or had. To do that, we need to fix USTC and we need to build back collateral. And we need to have a mechanism for defending our peg. And at the moment, we have absolutely none of those, nothing at all. So that's what my proposal is, attempting to address the things that we were missing and the flaws with the original blockchain, or with the flaws that it had originally.
So if you ask yourself, you know, have we not tried other things? Have other things not been tried? Have we not just spent a year trying to burn coins and it's gotten us nowhere but a lower price, people upset in the community, and things just not happening? It's not like we haven't tried all of these other ways.
Yeah, like the thing for me that people seem to saw, burning does not increase the price value. It's the buybacks before the burn that push up the price, and that's what people need to really take on board here. So like, burning off supply, if, say for instance, the protocol does buybacks, and so we've bought back USDC and we've let LUNC swap into it. If we burn that off immediately, it'll have no price impact. If we keep it in the protocol and it's out of circulation, it's exactly the same. So people need to think that. That's why, rather than just taking the USDC and burning it off at hand, that's why I started building collateral with the stables and buying back using those stables. You know, the tax is very specific in the assets we take, and that's very important. I mean, I could have just taxed the USDC side and burnt it off, but it wouldn't have any benefit. You know, by taxing the difference, taking that in the stable and then buying back, that's what gives you positive price pressure, not burning, if that makes sense.
Well, you're
like,
locking.
there's two instances where you're trying to defend the peg, and one is actually putting a positive price impact, and one is not.
You're effectively locking liquidity into the chain when you do that, because when you burn something, you've just taken a load of liquidity, just it's gone, it's done, it's finished.
It's gone. And at least with this, like, we can down the line open up swaps. You know, you could have LUNC to USDC and LUNC to Terra swaps, but with limited pools, with no minting, because we'd have accumulated all those assets as a community anyway. Like, these assets are community controlled assets. Do you know what I mean? So we can use them down the line to open stuff like swap pools, like 2-directional swap pools, and we never have to have any minting.
I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. I've not been excited for a while, and this is all of a sudden, you know, dissecting it, going through it. It's like it's the hope that we all need. And like you were saying, we if we wanted something new, we would have gone to Luna. We're all here because we have a vision. We are visionaries. We see this future where we repeg USTC, LUNC makes a comeback, and that's all going to come from what I
Yeah.
believe now, it's going to come from this. This is what's going to bring it all back.
I mean, I hope this is it. If it does bring it back, I'd be delighted. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us bought into that comeback narrative of LUNC. I mean, we wanted to be the community that resurrects. We were told this was dead, and we're all still here. Even a year down the line, and we've built nothing, we're all still here. You know, I think we're motivated to recover this, and we want to be a part of it. Just we need a direction, and I think I've given a direction here that we could take that is viable, and it is kind of resurrecting our chain and doing it fairly to everybody. Like, it's not doing it at a cost to one portion of the chain, you know, or one token holder or whatever.
Oh, there's a huge one-sided issue right now with projects like myself. You know, I built auto compounding modules that I can't even use myself because I don't have a big back wallet where I can pay for people to auto compound. You know, things are just not going the way that everybody thinks that they're going. Behind the scenes, projects are dying. People are dying. Things need to change. It needs to be fair. It needs to meet in the middle. And this does that. It doesn't just throw everything on projects and go, you know, we're just going to tax you and we'll sit on our bags. We won't move them. But, you know, you guys can. It's horrible to see projects that are trying to build a future being taxed and taxed and taxed and taxed. It becomes the Sheriff of Nottingham, like the one in the Disney one when we were kids.
Yeah, well, that's actually the other thing about this protocol is that this doesn't affect like your regular. Say, if I was to send you money on the blockchain, like this wouldn't affect that at all. It's literally only on market swaps where this is, you know, or markets. You know, so if you're to interact with a DApp or you're to send money to your friend, this tax doesn't apply to you. Like P2P does, this tax doesn't apply. Do you know what I mean? So you still have transactions on the blockchain will be free, even in DPEG times, or cheap. Do you know what I mean? It's only where you sell below the dollar that it's going to be an issue.
You're creating a huge opportunity in the market all the way until the peg, and then even after the peg. You know, you're creating an opportunity for traders that are not even wanting to be involved in the project, but simply just want to make money off of these trades the whole way up.
Yeah, like the LUNC swaps on the way up, like there is money in that the whole way up. You know, the unidirectional swaps, like that's an arbitrage opportunity. You're essentially getting paid, like rather than what we're doing now is every one of us is paying a 1.2% tax, to try and recover the price again. Do you know what I mean? Or to burn off the supply or cut down the supply. Whereas this is a targeted tax, so it's only targeting the people that are selling below peg. If me and you are holding, then we're not affected by this. Do you know if that makes sense to you? So it promotes holding the coin, do you know what I mean, below peg levels, and it just targets those people that sell below or shorters or whatever. It's very targeted approach compared to what we have now.
I really think you've got something here. I like the fact you've got the different, you know, scenarios. You've got multiple scenarios on here of how things could go. And each one of them, it's just all step by step. And I think that's something that people need to understand is that doing this actually step by step is probably going to benefit us a lot better as a blockchain, especially as people that just want to buy a bag and sit on their bag. Okay, this is perfect for you. This is like a wicked opportunity for you. You get to sit on your bag whilst we bring in all this new liquidity, all these new traders. The L1 team goes to work to create an automated system. It becomes automated, and then that's it. We forget about it and we move on to the next thing. And it just sits there and churns over.
Exactly. Like once this is built, we don't need to think about it again. Then you can focus on building apps or more features or loan protocols, whatever you want. Once this is there, it's done. And we won't have to think about it again until we get back up to near $1. And then you can give me a call back again or whatever. But until we get, you know what I mean? It'll run automatic. It'll function to do all the buybacks.
There's no sneakiness with reverse splits either. I like that. That's always a cheeky little thing that we don't like. No one likes a reverse split.
Yeah, no, I try to make this to appeal to most of the holders. Like most of us don't want reverse splits. Do you know what I mean? Like people think that like it's not going to get to $1 tomorrow. Like if people think this is going to instantly jump to $1, now if it does instantly jump to $1, then not everybody's going to be able to sell purely by the design of the tax. Do you know what I mean? Like it prevents a bank run. If everybody sells at once, then people are going to pay tax. But if people sell a little bit, or not everyone sells at once, then it's no problem for regular trading. Do you know what I mean? And quite often the tax won't come into play.
There's so many good positives on here. I honestly think you missed that positive out with it just being a fully automated system. You know, the need of not paying. You know, this whole situation. If we ever become reliant on Rebel Station, you know, it becomes a privatized sector. We have to pay for its upkeep. You know, we're effectively renting, and we could get stuck in a horrible liquidity loop where we just can't afford to do anything, and we're trapped.
Yeah, but I hope that isn't the case. But I think at the moment we're at probably the lowest price point we've been in nearly a year. I think if people see us building towards something, I don't think we're going to see these levels again. And the other thing with the design of this protocol is once this peg level moves up a certain point, like it becomes mathematically impossible for USTC to see those lower levels again. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Like if we get to 6 cent, you will never see below 3 cent again.
Honestly, the ride all the way up to $1 is absolutely insane. I'm just going to do a very, very, very hazy measurement. You're talking 8,000-ish% on a clean run up. You know, going up and down, the volatility in between. There's going to be a lot more than that involved when you're trading. This is a huge opportunity with the risks that everybody hated. They're gone. This meets in the middle. The only people I see voting against this are people who simply don't want to see change, don't want to see LUNC do good. And I know that's kind of emotional blackmail in a sense, but it's kind of the truth. We've been in this for a year. The preventative strategies people use to stop anything from happening, it's insane. It's insane. You know, you can't explain things like that. And it just simply comes down to they don't want the system to change. They don't want to see us win.
Yeah, I don't know. And even I see that there be I talked to a lot of the different factions about this proposal before putting it up, and everybody seems fairly interested. Now I know one developer voted against me there today, but he doesn't agree that USDC can be repegged. He thinks we should start again. I don't believe that. I believe that we can repeg it over time. The other thing that's important to bear in mind is that we see USDC as a 10 billion debt, but it's not really, because 75% of those assets are under TFL control. So there's really only 2.5 billion there. So that means that we need 25 million to collateralize ourselves to every cent level. So it's only 15 million to fully back ourselves to 2 cents. And in 6 months trading there on one trading pair, we'd have already pulled 10. You know what I mean?
We repeg USTC, LUNC gets its true purpose. Where does that leave Luna? Where does it leave Luna?
I suppose with maybe Feder and Alliance, I don't know.
Exactly. You don't know because you don't see a use case for that coin other than its staking protocol. That's it. Alliance and Feather is all built to benefit the Cosmos, not that chain. Everybody benefits the same, right? So, you know, having this edge I think it's a threat. I honestly think it's a threat.
It's possible. I hadn't looked at it like that, being honest with you, as a threat to Luna. I was really only looking at us recovering ourselves and Luna doing its own thing. For me, if we were able to bring back these stables and have them used across the Cosmos, I mean, that would be the thing, you know? And then, with Alliance, we'd be able to possibly even stake all these different Terra assets across the Cosmos. Do you know what I mean? And
if people are wondering if it can work, the honest answer is yes, because it has all worked before, and you know, people became millionaires. You know, it didn't all start originally as $1, and Luna itself didn't start at $116 a coin. It started at 32p a coin. 32p a coin. And it's 116. We'd be millionaires. We could buy the moon.
I wouldn't mind if we did that. No, but the thing is, it is going to take time, and by the design of this, if you take a little bit of profit all the way up as you're going, that would be the best way to do it. It's kind of, if you start to sell large volumes all the way up, it's going to punish you for doing it. So it kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It kind of makes people trade a certain way, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It really discourages trading below peg, and by doing that and incentivizing locking up your tokens at the same time, it's going to encourage people to not sell below peg and lock up their tokens. Do you know what I mean? So
This is the
it
idea,
kind of
right?
comes at it from a couple of different angles. Do you know what I mean? So like every different part of this protocol is doing more than one thing, if that makes sense. Like it's multifaceted.
The best way to like paint a picture is simply we're going bowling and someone's put up the barriers. You know, we can't really go off of the tracks. It has these safeguards.
Yeah.
You thought this is so well thought out. It's actually insane. I mean, you've had a year, right?
Yeah, I've had plenty of time to do it now, and like if you see, I have had a couple of different iterations of this proposal, like but I think this is a fairly complete solution that would make most people happy with. And again, just like don't view this as like we're $1 tomorrow. View this as a process that we're going to build this back together, and we're going to show the crypto world that we did what we said we would, and we resurrected LUNC.
Well, the community's really good at getting their point across when I think a lot of the people like myself who, you know, talk to the community actually explain what's going on. There was a huge targeted approach to every CEX to get a burn tax implemented. We're not asking them to do something where they lose. We're asking them to implement something where they're going to make from it. They get something.
Yeah, everybody wins out of this. Do you know, everybody gets something. Do you know what I mean? The only people that don't get something out of this are the people that sell below peg. Well, that's it.
There you go.
And I think most of us agree that they deserve some sort of punishment for doing that in the first place. So
I think all of these naughty characters have made plenty enough off shorting this coin the whole way down.
Well, I'd be fairly sure that if you put this into play, it's going to kill a lot of shorts because one, you're going to be taking
you're gonna wipe it. You'll wipe it all out. It becomes a whole new bar. You wipe that out and then you just go.
Yeah, because it doesn't help just the USTC. I mean, it does help LUNC. I mean, wouldn't you buy LUNC if you thought you'd be able to swap it for a profit every now and again when the price of peg goes up? I mean,
the majority of us, we're sat on it now. It brings an opportunity for people, and it actually brings. You know what else is? This is really good. This is actually a really good educational, like, chance for people to do some sort of arbitraging that's more or less. It's all automated for you, but you can learn the simplified version of the process to then be able to elaborate off of that. You're providing more than just what you think. There's so much that comes with this. This is a ship that's going to sail for a while, and it's just going to pick up traction as it goes. The winds will get more stronger behind us, and it will become that situation where people are like, no, it can't happen. It can't happen. And we have that huge FOMO, and that FOMO itself could just help drive the peg even further, even quicker. You know, it becomes a snowball, doesn't it? It just keeps picking up more and more and more as it goes. Oh, have we lost you? Hold up a second, folks. I will try and see what's happening here. Redline, can you hear me? All right, 1 second, folks, and I'll bring it back. I will likely edit this bit out, but if it's in, I hope you enjoyed that short little kind of on.
The last where we were cutting the shorts, was that it?
Yes, that's it. We were talking about knocking out all the horrible shorters. They would get absolutely annihilated, and it would set a whole new bar.
Yeah, and actually we're talking about the arbitragers and how I actually thought it was a really good point. Yes. I hadn't even thought about that. How, like, a lot of our community, like, they're not big into DeFi, and probably buying into LUNC was their first buy into DeFi. And even if they just bought in on the burn narrative, so having something like this to show them how they can make money through arbitrage, like I say, is actually a really good thing, and introduces them to DeFi and how to make money. That's something I hadn't even thought about, but it's a really good point.
It's good, isn't it, when you get to speak to somebody else, I'm on the far other side of the river on this for you to begin with. I'm slowly on the fence now about it. You know, you learn a lot hearing somebody else's opinion, because I find we all live in a bubble, right, Redline? We're all inside this little bubble where, you know, we're so focused on the lane that we're in, we tend to stay in that lane. We don't get to hear these other kind of angles, these other routes, but you've really covered everything. So, ideal environment, it passes, it goes through. What happens then? You're going to submit a signaling prop to start contacting all the CXs, right?
Well, so actually, like the next step after this is if it passes, is the CXs already have copies of the proposals, and so we'd be setting up meetings and negotiations then with them. That's where I'm at next. Like I'm kind of ready to go as soon as this does, and TGF are going to help me with that and assist me with that.
And there's
I
no cuts going to you for doing any of this either. This is really like, this is a vision you've come up with, and you're a person that's following it. You're doing this for the benefit of this blockchain, and that's different. That's hard to come by.
Yeah, like exactly. And once this is built, like it's kind of, it can be forgotten about after that. You're not going to need me anymore after this, unless you want me to come look at it again when we're at $1 if we get there. But yeah, no, like if it's going to require a lot of work on my end, I'd like to get compensated something, but I'm not asking for. I won't ask for an excessive amount of money. I probably ask TGF to figure out an amount for me. Do you know what I mean? For the hours that I work.
Well, yeah, you're going to need to, and that's only fair. That's only fair. This is why we have an L1 team. This is going to be a situation, and it's going to be a good learning curve for the L1 team, that this passes, it goes through, this becomes priority. They've said they've got an open road after parity, this open highway Steve has spoken about. This is what I think we should be focusing on. I think this is it. I think this could be it for the community.
Yeah, it'll definitely keep them busy anyway, that's for sure. Like there's going to be quite a lot of work in this and quite a bit of testing in this, but we have something to build for then after parity. Do you know what I mean? And we're building to recover what we had, and revitalize the chain again, and build back collateral in our system. We need to address that if we want to repeg and we want to get back to where we were. We have to build collateral in the system. We have to have a mechanism to do buybacks, and realistically, they should be algorithmic. If we have an algorithmic stablecoin, you shouldn't have to rely on an individual or individuals to do that for you. It should be all in the code. And that's what I think. That's what this will give the community, is a fully algorithmic stablecoin for the finish.
Could build good relationships with these CXs for the future. We're going to need that.
Yeah, but and the thing is that as this grows, they profit with us. Do you know what I mean? So it's building relationships with all the CXs. Do you know what I mean? Now at the moment, I'm sure the CXs hate us. Do you know what I mean? Every time we have to deal with them, they're giving us more money, essentially. Do you know what I mean? And it's not even giving us money to do anything. They're giving us money and essentially throwing it down a shredder, because that is what they're doing at the moment. Whereas this is a chance for everyone to make money. And I think that's what this should be about. Do you know what I mean? Is growing business partnerships and developing business with these exchanges moving forward. And the more partnerships we can develop, the better, and the bigger we'll become. I believe we have a chance of success with this. And if the CXs come on board, I definitely think the wider market will be taking a closer look at us. Over the last year, I don't think anybody's watching us anymore. But if we saw some action on this, I think people could buy into it again. People that have left or have never bought into it before.
I definitely, I'm swayed. I'm definitely, I'm behind this. I feel like this is something I can get behind. I can definitely support it. Redline, I think we've pretty much gone over the majority of it here, and we've butchered it down. We've gone through the in-depth parts. We've really, followed this. So folks, if you're wanting to, you can follow RedLineDrifter. All of his links are going to be in the description of the description box. Links to the proposal, links to the Agora text. Do go through it carefully. Ensure you go through, use a highlighter, highlight things that interest you, and, try and break things down a little better for yourself, because the better you understand this, the better you can prosper from this arbitrage system as it goes forward. But if you just want to sit on your bag and do nothing, you're still going to prosper.
Yeah, at least it's right at the moment. Our bags are useful for nothing. There's no way to make any money, right? You can stake your LUNC and get some APR from that, but from USTC or the other Terra coins, there's absolutely nothing at all. And this gives, this encourages people to transact on the blockchain, like that arbitrage opportunity to do that. You'll have to transact both on and off chain. You know what I mean? Between CXs, so it's going to increase our traffic as well, which people are getting, which is also going to increase our community pool. The CP and OP.
Definitely. So there you go, folks. You've got, recapitalizing USTC through incremental repegs, no minting, no forking, no reverse splits, no external capital. We're going to reduce the LUNC supply. It's going to reduce the circulating supply of USTC. It funds the Oracle pool. It funds the community pool. CEXs get something from it. It's automated. It's a targeted approach. What more could you want? Folks, check this stuff out. I hope this gets your Tuesday. Oh no, it's going to be Wednesday when this comes out, because it's coming out in the morning. So I hope you folks enjoyed this. Redline, have you got any end comments or anything you'd like to say to your community before we head off?
No, I'd just like to say thanks to the community for the support that they've given me, and thanks to you for having me on. And I'm glad to see you back, because I know you were away through illness or whatever, and it's nice to see you back again.
Oh yeah, they performed a few operations on me, folks. They're going to need a bigger boat, that's for sure, if they want to wipe me out permanently. But I've got a brand new back, and we're back at it. This is a really good thing for us, folks. I hope everybody can see the vision that I'm seeing as someone that was way on the other side of the fence. That's all we've got for you for now, folks. Stay safe. None of this is financial advice. Beware of scammers. Beware of doppelgangers. Beware of anybody pretending to be me. And I will catch you in the next one.